5.
And we are back with the Stranded Season 1 recap. It's the merge. It's been a bit, but we have a great panel joining us today. As always, my great co-host, Santi. Santi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Coach?
I'm good. We have creator and all the other hats. We have Will.
Hey.
And we have Season 1 non-boot as of now. Don't know how it turns out. We have Becks joining us today to go over everything merge during Season 1 of Stranded. Becks, how are you doing? And thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm alive, I'm here and I'm excited to talk about Stranded.
Okay. And Coach, you forgot to mention the most important part. Becks is the host for Season 2.
Becks is the host for Season 2, which filmed the last week. When? August?
It filmed July 20th.
So last weekend of July, yep.
Oh. Yeah.
July
6th. Yeah.
So
very fun.
Becks, we'll start with that. What made you, obviously without spoiling anything, what made you want to help out in whatever capacity for Season 2? What was it about your experience in Season 1?
I think Will, when you first meet him, has a really good way of building a relationship with you and being supportive. And I definitely found that in the first LRG that I've ever played. And the first LRG I played was going to be the last LRG I ever played. And Will was like, hold on, wait a minute. And because of Will's support, he really pushed me to do Stranded Season 1. And then, Will was looking for a host, kind of panicking a bit. But, I talked with him and I was like, listen, if you can't find anybody, I have no problem being the host. I'm a teacher. So, I put on performances every single day, so it's okay working overtime 2 days on a weekend. So that's kind of how it came to be.
Okay.
And I'm super happy. Season 2 is.
I've heard everyone is hyped
I
up.
will say, as somebody who got to experience Becks as a host, I will put her in my top 5 LRG hosts that I've got to be hosted by. She asked the tough question.
Okay.
Which
well,
is what I like.
Obviously, I can't wait to see it. Everyone has hyped it up as just a great time and a very cracked time. But we're talking about Season 1, which is pretty cracked in its own. So we have merged. We kind of skip right to the morning after, and everyone's kind of talking about their thing. Fun little thing of Lupo wearing Gibble sweatpants that he had given him earlier in the game. That night, I guess, because there is something that I want to get to in a little bit. But that night, Bex, what were some of the, conversations? What was kind of going on? Or did people just really just go to bed?
Everyone. So just to paint a picture, we started at like 7 a.m. We were on. The game started at like 8 a.m. And our first challenge was running in a circle. If you watched that first episode, you know how I did in it. And you know how some other people did in it. But, it was a really long day. And I think something that people don't really consider when playing LRGs is the emotional and mental toll it takes on you, not even physical. So I think, by the end of the day being out in the sun, like everyone's just ready for bed. And I think going into merge, Purple Tribe can please comment if they're watching, but I think the Pawpaw really felt confident with where they were going into merge. I felt super confident going into merge. I had a lot of number one. So I felt really good. I felt like a bug in a rug that was ready to go to sleep. And people really didn't stay up. Like people were snoring. We went to like the side yard, and Brooke immediately was like, "You and I are both the only girls. We're sleeping together." I was like, "Okay," like I'm okay with that. So I mean, it wasn't even a question. Brooke and I slept next to each other. I wanted to have eyes on everybody, so I slept on a hill, but I slept on the hill like it was really weird. I slept on the hill like feet going down so I could kind of survey the whole yard and see where all the players were sleeping, but I definitely think people were being very cautious and careful with where they were sleeping. They didn't want to give away relationships or anything like that, but everyone knew that Brooke and I were kind of a package deal at that point, so it was kind of a mute point.
Yeah. Well, we start off with my favorite challenge probably ever. I love touchy subjects. I'm not confident in most challenges. I know for a fact that I could win touchy subjects probably 10 times out of 10 if I were to play the real thing. Because season is one world, was it purposely done to have touchy subjects as that first merge because of the twist? Or would you have done it at the merge if it wasn't one world? Is that kind of, do you understand what I'm asking?
It was very intentional because what I think is really interesting about doing touchy subjects on a one world season is you've seen everyone's game. You might not have talked to everybody because there was the social contract in season one where it's like, we're not talking to the other tribe, but you still saw who was checking in with who and who was doing what. And so that was very purposeful in doing that. And it paid off. I mean, because it really set up the second half of the game. I mean, very similar to the beginning of day one, where it's like, we're running in a circle in the heat at 8 a.m. We really wanted to hit them over the head. Like, guess what? Y'all woke up. Guess what? Who's getting voted out next? Who's the front runner to win this game? Who do people don't trust? Like, right from the get. And as you've seen in this episode, and you have reverberations in later episodes, this challenge actually made an impact in the game.
Okay.
I think something to also just add really quick, this wasn't shown in the episode, but we all, in a contrast to season 2, everybody in season 1 went to bed very early. No one yapped. It wasn't kikiing by the fire. It wasn't telling campfire stories. Everyone went to bed, but then people woke up at the ass crack of dawn in season 1 and were talking by the porter potties. And it was very secretive. I myself had multiple meetings with different people. That's when Troy came running up to me, loved Troy, and was like, "You're my number one. We're working together. I don't care about everyone else." Yeah, I wish Troy there was kikiing, but there wasn't. And, when everyone started to wake up, that is when I decided to do circle time, because I didn't really get a chance to talk to anybody at Vaca, look, whatever it's called. I didn't really get to talk to anybody on the Green Tribe. So I wanted to feel everyone out. And so I did circle time and I wanted to talk to people. So I knew I was going to get most annoying because people were giving me side eyes and bitchy ass looks and no one really wanted to chat. And I'm just like chipper in the fucking morning without coffee. So
Santi, touchy subjects. Well, first, how do you feel about this challenge just as a whole? How do you usually perform in it? And what did you think about some of these answers that we got? Because Brooke does catch a lot of the negatives. We'll talk about Alex and his perception later in this, but all of that, everything that I just
everything that you just asked me,
everything I just said to you.
So if you were to like tell me to rate all of my LRG challenges or even any challenges, touchy subjects would always be at the bottom, if not last. It is my least favorite challenge. And here's why. Because I always get, who is the mastermind? Who is running the game? Who thinks they're going to win the game? Who is in line to win the game? And these 4 things always get me in trouble, which makes me the merge like moving target anytime that I play that challenge in a game. And I just think sometimes it can be mean spirited. And I think whether intentional or unintentional, like there were some mean spirited answers. Like to put Brooke as the one who could not survive. I've seen Brooke play Survivor New York, and she is a fucking beast. So if I were to get lost in the woods and Brooke was there, I'd be like, I'm good. Like, we're good. So just some of the responses, I wouldn't put Becks as most annoying. Even with her talking in the morning, like, no.
Well, and I would say that the reason that it's my favorite is because of basically what you just said. I love being able to read a like my personal answers actually do not matter at all. It's all about reading the room. Hey, I don't think Bex is annoying, but I can kind of catch the vibe that these people might, and I want to win the challenge. I'm probably just going to do this and just hope that her or whoever is catching a negative answer kind of understands.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to go based off of what these people are saying. We'll talk later about how I actually voted. And I think that I think it might have been Alex or someone basically said, yeah, I threw as many answers as possible because one, I don't want to be perceived as knowing what's up, but also, you know, you kind of have to navigate and walk on eggshells with this type of challenge. And I don't feel like these questions could have been way worse as far as like really biting into people. I think that it was a fine line, and I happen to enjoy it, but I do understand that if the questions had gone a little bit more aggressive, that people might have been less likely to answer the way that they actually felt, if that makes sense.
I would like to talk about, maybe Will can clarify on this, but what the fuck was John doing? Like, how did he get, was there like a timer? Like,
that's what I wanted to talk about. So I think a lot of purple got a lot of answers because the 5 greens put their answers in. So how it worked, and we didn't really film it because it's not really fun to watch. We put them in, 10 different spots of the yard, and we gave them the survey. But the thing is, like, we got shit to do. It's 10 questions. You don't need 20 fucking minutes to fill out a survey. So I think we sat them all down. We're like, listen, you got 5 minutes. And we put 5 minutes on the clock. And when 5 minutes was up, I was like, give me your stuff. And at 5 minutes, John was still writing. And I was like, dude, it's after 5 minutes. We're not doing that. So everyone else was done. Everyone knew the time. We gave time checks. 1 minute left, 30 seconds. And he's still sitting there like he's filling out the Sunday crossword. And I was like, dude, sorry. Like, he's like, oh, just take my unfinished one. I was like, no, I need all 10 answers. So he just, I think maybe the time slipped his mind. He was like thinking about it too hard, whatever. And I think and that's why a lot of purple got answered, because there was 5 greens and 4 purples. And Steven even said in his confessional in the reward, when he was like, oh, I answered all purple because I figured, that was going to happen. So I'm interested. I was trying to see if I still had them. I don't. What would have the answers look like if John V had submitted his answers on time? If it had evened out, or would it had still been the same? I'm not 100%.
Okay. Well, that was going to be my question too, of like what the hell happened with John, because it's kind of referenced, and I thought I had missed.
Yeah, we just had no footage of it, so I was like, yeah.
So I do say so. Yeah, Santi, you brought up, if you get all of these types of questions, most likely to win this, that, and the other, that puts a target on your back. I think that on the opposite end of that, you getting in this situation, Lupo getting, was it Lupo? Yeah, getting most likely to be voted out next is probably the safest bet that you're probably not going to go home next, because you just put down the safe answer there of like, oh yeah, everyone's going to think he's going home anyway. You might as well just write his name down, and we're actually not going to do that because it's the merge vote, and that's where chaos reigns normally. Becks, as the person that was out there and watching Lupo win that specific category, and I know you guys had your reward dinner afterwards, but did you think that there was any real possibility that he was going to be that person once that came up?
I mean, yes and no. Yes, because I feel like in short games, you're looking for any reason to vote someone out, you know? So, I mean, Steven bragging to everyone that it's my birthday, you can't vote me out on my birthday is like, oh, we can't vote you out on your birthday, or can we vote you out on your birthday? So, you know, he was just going around, and that was his sharing time during circle time. You know, he said to everyone, oh, and it's my birthday. So, you know, that kind of planted a seed. Honestly, at that point, I wasn't surprised. Will knows this and Santi knows this, but I did a lot of research before playing season 1. I like stalked all the followers on Stranded social media. I made a Google Doc, literally found links to all their games. That's why I didn't trust Dave. That's why I wanted Dave out. That's why I also was concerned with Steven, because I knew the games that he played as well, and trying to like make all those connections. So to me, everyone that I did research on and had information on was a threat to me. So I didn't really care who went home, because I had multiple number ones that wanted to have me in the game.
Birthday or no birthday?
I'm telling you what, if you tell me it's your birthday in an LRG,
I'm voting you out.
I'm going to be challenged, motherfucking accept. I'm going to make sure your ass is blindsided on your
Happy birthday.
Yes. And 2, Becks, my heart. I thought I was the only one who did Google Docs and spreadsheets on games to research. And I recently found out that a lot of people do this. And so I'm just glad that you're one of us.
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. Just to kind of piggyback off what you were saying about like answering the way some of the answers were, I think going into this, I didn't really have high expectations of the males I was playing with as seeing beyond gender stereotypes. So a lot of the answers, like, I answered the way I thought they would answer, because I didn't think that they looked past that. And I was right. A lot of them didn't look past that. And I would still kiss Ymir to this day for bringing that up at Tribal, that it was totally biased, their answers. And it's interesting, because like part of me is wondering how much of that was everyone thinking, oh, well, this is just the bias, so I'm going to write this down, and how many of it is their actual like feelings.
Well, so I wanted to ask you about that. Like, do you feel like if there were even 2 more women there, or just non-males in general, do you feel like that answer could have been scattershot to people that were not female or non-male?
I've come to learn that a lot of men are afraid of women. And what's so funny is that there were 2 of us, and yet all the boys were freaking the fuck out that we were going to take over with 2. Count the numbers. like 2 doesn't override 8 people.
I'm still not over. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I was going to say, I'm still not over the Megan vote, because of that same mentality of when we merge, Megan's going to join Becks and Brooke. And honestly, like, good on them for getting Megan out, because I just saw her win a game.
She's
and
such a good player.
Beautiful. And I saw her play Survivor New York. But that does not necessarily mean that because Megan was a non-male that she was going to immediately go to Brooke and Becks because they were on the other tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And I mean, listening to Ymir talk this season and during preseason about the biases that he's felt, you know, being a black male in this non-black community, I can understand. Like, it's great that he was the one to point it out. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the tribal section of this.
Definitely.
I want to get to Will about Alex being most likely to win at this point in the game. So what do you think it was about Alex that, because I don't know how, was it close to unanimous? Like, how did those votes kind of go down? And did you feel in that moment that, okay, they're kind of reading the room maybe the right way?
Yeah, I mean, it's Alex's storyline in that he did not know how to manage his threat level. And it really started in that first double in round 3 with the tile flip, and he went out and they just kept targeting him, the poor guy. But then, of course, he never clocked like, okay, I need to lose. Like, you know what I mean? Because he went out like 4 times and like killed it each time. Then it was like, oh, he killed in the black and white challenge. And then it's like, that's everyone's perception. Because like I said, the tribes didn't mingle that much. So when purple's looking at green being like, well, who's a threat to win? They're like, well, the guy that's kind of killed most of the challenges, we're going to just kind of vote for him. But Alex is a really smart player because he clocked it immediately. He's like, I'm screwed. Like I'm, and
let me dumb it
and
down.
It was really
in this challenge.
Yeah. But it was really interesting too, kind of going into the reward of like, he was like, I'm screwed. And then yet he didn't get a vote, and then how the target kind of shifted because let me tell you, that reward was so fun to watch because it really was, it wasn't even a reward. It was called Watch Becks Save John S.'s Ass for 15 minutes. That's lit. And all she did was they're like, John S. She's like, no, Alex, boom, no, Dave. And all she did was try to save his ass. It was so fun to watch. Yeah, and then eventually actually it moved off of Alex, which I didn't see coming, but I thought it was really interesting to see it.
Santi, before we get to the reward, like we'll just talk more about the reward in a second. Nathan says that he likes winning. He wants to win in challenges, so he's going to do that. And like this is one of those big questions of strategy that you see in both LRGs, orgs, and the real thing of throwing challenges or not throwing challenges. I've always been more, hey, I would rather like keep my fate in my hands by winning as much as possible, knowing full well that may paint a physical target on me, but it's better than a social or strategic target. For you, without blowing up any future games that you play in,
every time, coach, every time.
Yeah, every time. What are your feelings on that? Like, do you feel like there's a time and a place to throw, or is it like, no, if I can win, I will win?
I think if you would have asked me a year ago, if the same question, I would have answered you differently. I would never throw a challenge. In Survivor New York, there was a point, the Paper Plate Alliance, where we had the opportunity to throw a challenge, and had we done that, we would have gained the numbers, and it would have been a whole different story. We didn't do that, and I still stuck by the fact that I'm never going to throw a challenge. What I've learned is if you can read the room correctly and know where your standing is at, it is risky as fuck to throw a challenge, but if you do it perfectly, it is so much fun. And I think Nathan had the right read.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm excited to see if Nathan stays that course the rest of the season, but I'm also interested to see if there are people that throw other challenges. Like it's kind of easy to throw touchy subjects because you just write down the wrong answer, even though you know that it would be a lot more interesting to watch someone throw a physical challenge and see if it's obvious or not. But moving on to the reward.
Can I just throw something in about throwing challenges? It ended up working for them. We almost saw it in the real show when they were in like the 2 tribes of 7, and what is it? It was the 2 tribes of 7. They voted Matt out, right? And then they were like, okay, let's try to win. And I'm like, but you should throw, because if you're trying to keep Red strong, throw the challenge and get rid of Jason. They didn't end up throwing. They actually lost, like, fairly.
Yeah.
But that's another one where Red was so strong that they should have thrown the challenge, because if they won, a Red would have definitely left and screwed them. And like I said, it ended up working out. But similar to there, I was like, they need to throw, like, to protect their numbers.
So you're more time and place. Like, if it's the right time, the right place, you got to throw it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, if you go look at the fandom, there's a lot of like boo-hoo about it. I think it was the most recent season. Yeah, the most recent season of Australian Survivor. I don't know if you watched it. But there was a huge there was a swap, and then like one guy used a strategy of like, listen, we got 2 of your hostages here, so you might want to throw the challenge to us, because if we lose, they're going. So if you want your numbers to stay, you should throw the challenge. Like
Yep.
very open, very public. And it was really interesting to see the strategy on that. But yeah, I think it is time and place because I think it can help.
Okay. Well, Brooke picks Becks and Steven to go on the reward challenge. And that takes up a pretty big chunk of the episode is just watching the three of them interact with each other. I think for the betterment of the episode that's all kept in there. I'm sure there were cuts here and there, but for the most part, I feel like we get the main point of what is happening. Bex, first of all, were you surprised that you got picked? Just yes or no? No. Okay. Did you feel like you were being heard when you were throwing out specifically Alex and Dave?
So
Did you feel like you were being heard, or did you feel like it was immediate shutdown?
So I was testing Steven in that moment, and he failed. Because, like Alex was saying, what idiot would let him go any further in the game? And he's like, you got to be pretty silly to keep me in this game. And I felt really silly keeping him in the game. And, I could go the route of, another girl just not getting listened to by a man or a boy. But, I pivoted and I went into that knowing that since Alex was, quote unquote, the biggest threat, to have a backup. And since I did my research on Dave, I knew how good of a player he was. I knew the connections he had. And I was hoping that if I made it further in the game and Dave was on jury, I could pitch my case and he could respect my game and give me his vote, even though we didn't work together in the game. So I knew he was super close with Troy. And I knew merge time, Troy and Dave could not be together because if Dave was there, I couldn't be there. So Dave needed to go. And also, Dave also failed to test with me as well. Like, I wanted to work with him. I liked the player he was that I saw, like, before playing this game. And when he was so dead set and off-putting, I'm like, oh, all right. I have no problem writing your name down. And, that was when I kind of put my foot down. And I was like, no, like, it's either Alex or Dave. And if it's not those two, I'm not voting with you. Type mentality. But I said to Brooke, I was like, Steven and Alex are probably aligned. There's no real rational reason for Steven to keep Alex in this game.
I have
a thought. So I think Steven was so adamant on keeping Alex because with Alex gone, Steven's threat level goes boop.
Does it?
I think so. I think in Steven's head, because Steven's physical and he's a big guy. If you look at him and Alex comparatively to everybody else, it would be Alex, Steven, and then in my head, like John V, Amir kind of mixed in there, like as physical threats. So I
guess Amir and John V's muscles are not showing up on camera that they did in real life because to me, and I love Steven. Steven knows I love him, but to me, like Steven's a peon compared to Amir and John V. Like, I don't consider him a threat.
Yeah.
Like, I think I could beat Steven in a comp, and I'm sure Steven's probably pissed if he's watching this right now. And I love you, Steven. Steven's angel forever. But that's how I felt.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Okay. I haven't heard the word peon in years.
I don't know if I used it correctly, and if I didn't, I'm really sorry.
You're the teacher, not us. But moving on through that, Will, I wanted to get your, because you brought it up earlier. Do you feel like they deliver, like in real time? Did you feel like they were delivering in the moment, or was it when you went back to put it together? It's like, oh man, this is actually really good shit.
Are we talking about the reward?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I knew exactly what Bex was doing because I knew, like, I would say the most hidden close relationship in the game was Becks and John S. And so I wasn't there for the entirety of the reward, but then when they were like, yeah, John S. And then she's like, no. And then she's like, and then she how she pivoted. And I was just like, oh yeah, she's putting in the work. And then John S. fucked it all up. That's the other thing I want to jump into is John S. had such an interesting arc this episode. Like where they were going back and forth, like at the reward where like he's getting grilled and Bex is like, I'm trying to bring him in. And he's like, so John S., did you get voted out? And he's like, no, I didn't get voted out. I'm cool.
In real time, this is what happened. It was in the morning. Troy and John V were standing there, and I said, guys, I am fully confident that John S. can join us. I know that he will vote with us. He'll be truthful. He's a loyal player. Imir already told us that he was voted out. Let's just have him confirm it now before everyone else wakes up. And that's when that happened, and he lied right to their faces. He walked away, and Troy and John V look at me, and Troy, please correct me if I'm wrong. And they're like, we can't work with him. He just lied to us.
What are your guys' thoughts on that part of like the John S. thing? Because I feel like he was trying to, I get what he was trying to do because it's hard, right? You just woke up and your person's like, oh, I have a bunch of people I want you to work with. And I've never played like a game like Stranded. So did he do the right thing of trying to like, well, I don't want to give all my cards up? Or did he fuck up by lying to them?
And this, it's hard because there's also the cloud of, and the fact that this is like what 3 episodes in a row where we don't know who was voted out the first time and came back into the game. It's still a big mystery, even though people kind of know what it is. It's never been outwardly said and confirmed that it was John. So it's hard because his name is always going to be out there in some type of aspect. And what you don't want to do is your name being out there so many rounds in a row, and then you get caught in a lie. Because then it just adds more fuel to the fire of, okay, his name keeps popping up, and now he's lying, and he's getting caught, or not even lying, like, spreading information, whatever. I'm still very high on him because I just really like his personality.
John S. is amazing. Yeah, great guy.
Since preseason, I just thought that he just seemed like a lot of fun. So I'm sure he could potentially bounce back from this, but technically he has been voted out already. So like there is some concern, I guess, from my end of, oh, can he actually bounce back from this? Because he's already been taken out once. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky situation because, I mean, this game, as we know, is a game of information, right? And John had that key piece of information. He could have easily went to the Purples and said, hey, like, they voted me out. I want revenge. Let's keep it, like, under the radar. I'll help you guys out. But he kept that information in, and I feel like he positioned himself within the game of, like, now, because he kept that information, Imir was the one who gave the information out. He's positioned himself in the sense of if he jumps ship now, he's going to seem like somebody who's untrustworthy in the perception of the other players. And I think had he been very upfront in the beginning of like, this is what occurred and this is what I'm willing to do, he wouldn't have had that perception.
Totally.
We're going to kind of go through some of these confessionals that people are giving as we go more into the strategy. First, just a fun little thing I put in my notes. Wait, Troy and Dave know each other? Which I think it was, I think it was you that like brought it up to whoever. It might have been, was this a known thing, like from the conversations you were having, or did you feel like you were telling people and they were shocked that they knew each other?
Well, I wanted to actually gauge people's reactions to see if they were connected with them as well, because, you know, I'm a Scorpio. I can only do so much digging and connecting the dots. But yeah, no, I knew that they were very close prior to Stranded. I was very relieved when they were not on the same tribe together. And, you know, I just wanted to know where the connections lied. Like if it was Steven working with Troy and Dave as well, or Nathan. And I knew Nathan had played a few games as well, but I wasn't sure who Nathan was connected with. And yeah, that's all I'll say. But Nathan comes in handy for me later in the season. That's all I'll say.
No spoilers. The second one, we really don't need a comment on it. I just thought it was really funny. Amir has never taken Spanish. Neither have I. So we get to Nathan's confessional, and this once again, this kind of touches on something we touched on earlier. But I will give him credit because Nathan basically says he wants to target one of the girls. But then he goes down the list of why he wants to keep other people safe, and it's like, okay, yeah, based off of that logic, it would make sense that you would want to target one of these two people. And now it just happens that these two people are this. Santi, as a viewer, in that moment, and just at that confessional, how did you perceive it?
The same way I perceive the Megan vote.
Okay.
I think that there's a way that you can spin a story, and this is no shade to Nathan at all. I think that there is a way that you can spin a story to get what you want, but there be some bias there. And I think Nathan saw a clear pair and wanted to break it up, but it's silly, in my opinion.
It's icky.
No, it's Survivor Marquesas for any Survivor fans, which what are you doing here if you're not?
The best
Survivor
season of
Marquesas,
Survivor, like,
Giuseppe and Sean are looked at as a duo, and whether they are or not, they felt obligated to, hey, people are already putting us together. We might as well just do it because of Black. And they don't even vote the same every single time, but they're always looked at as the duo. One of my favorite episodes of Marquesas is A Tale of Two Cities, where Kathy has to pick between perceived duo and actual duo in Pascal and Nalia, and picks the two of them, even though they have outright said they would never vote for each other. And these two have just kind of been working together out of necessity. And I do feel like, it's been a while since I watched the first 4 episodes of the season, but episode 5 and 6 of this, it doesn't feel like Becks and Brooke are this unstoppable duo that will never turn on each other, that, hey, I'd rather this, that, or the other than vote this person out. I do feel like both of y'all have minds of your own, obviously, we all do, that you would, in certain situations, vote each other out, and that this is more of a necessity thing of, hey, they're already saying this because Santi's brought it up with the Megan thing. This is already a thing that's going out there. We might as well just stick together for now. And honestly, and I'm jumping ahead here for just a second, I thought the whole Dave thing was a red herring. I thought, oh man, this Dave thing's going to happen, and then they're going to actually snipe Becks or Brooke because they're the unstoppable duo. So when they went, I'm like, oh, okay, it was actually that simple of a vote.
Yeah. So the thing with that, I think the girls, Becks and Brooke, kind of got looped together, and it was kind of unintentional, but I think it also stemmed from John V, because John V played, he in this season, he played a very straightforward game and had no problem saying, oh yeah, it's the 2 girls and me, and I'm not voting them out. And that was his game, right? And he was very clear about like who he was working with and who he was close with. And then I think kind of because he was so forward with that, because he was like, yeah, I'm with the 2 girls, then the 2 girls became the girls, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because they were like, oh, well, if they're a trio, then they have to be together, even though that might not have been, like, oh my God, we're so down bad for each other.
To piggyback off of that too, I think going into biases again, I think a lot of my fellow contestants and players looked at Brooke and I as an easy way to the end, as a voting block, as numbers, as people they could manipulate, and we were malleable. And you start to see that slipping away when people start complaining that Brooke actually has an opinion. Brooke actually has a mind of her own, and she doesn't agree with you. And she's vocal about what she wants. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's, oh my God, a woman has a brain. Wow. Look at that. So I think it's also, you got to take that into account too. A lot of people underestimated Brooke and I as players a lot. and grouped us together as easy numbers, people they could manipulate and follow through and do their dirty work. And that is not what happened.
And so,
I also
mean,
think you guys had an interesting thing of like, Troy had new people, Steven knew people, John V knew people, but like Brooke and you did, I mean, you knew John S, but different tribes. Like, so like when the purple tribe is sitting around, like Troy is sitting around being like, yeah, I know who John V is. I've heard of, this one. I know who Steven is. And it's like, both of you were kind of in this thing of like, no one really knew who you were. And so you didn't have that luxury of being like, oh, no, they're good. I got them. You know what I mean? Like someone vouching for you, so to speak. And I think that also played into it where you guys got grouped into that thing of like, oh, they're an alliance just because no one knew who you were. So it was like, oh, the girls are together then because no one knows them.
And like last thing on this, because I do want to get to what happens at Tribal. Just because you are here right now, and hopefully we never have to have you on as a boot, but we'll see. What did you think when you showed up and you saw the disparity?
Disparity in what way?
The gender disparity.
Gender disparity.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Game wise, mechanically, I played into it because I knew it would better my game. And so I fed into whatever, idea the boys in this season had about me. And if you think I'm stupid, sure, I'll be stupid. I'll be the stupidest person you've ever met. Oh, I'm oblivious? Sure. I'm annoying? Yeah, I could be annoying. Whatever you need me to be, I'll be. You're not going to write my name down? Great. And this wasn't shown, but for a lot of the votes, I had a lot of people's balls in my hand twisted because I said to them, I can't trust you. Draw a picture for me so I know I can. What did you draw? And that held a lot of accountability of people that I could call bullshit on and people I couldn't. And you'll see that play out the whole season. So, I mean, for the gender disparity, I think game mechanic wise, yeah, it helped me. But coming from it, like emotionally, I was disappointed. Like it's 2024. And I just love Ymir that he brought that up. Troy has always just been so supportive from the get. And John B's just been lovely as well. Steven's been great. And John S is an angel. But, everyone else I have nothing but love for. And, Dave and I talked after the episode. No hard feelings. Love Dave as a person. I was just super pissed he wasn't even open a smidge to working with me. He was just so deadlocked on not even talking to me. And, like, I don't know why. I have no idea why.
I think that's Dave, though. Like, I think, I know Dave, and Dave has a heart of gold, and I feel like Dave is
definitely.
He's also loyal, and so I felt like Dave was like, he had his people, and he has his people, and that's it.
Yeah.
I will say we did prep. I might have mentioned this on another podcast, but Becks, Brooke, and Megan were prepped prior to the game when they accepted their cast invite. I said, before you accept the cast invite, we're going to be very transparent here. We had no female supply. And you're going to be, there were the only 3 we told. I was like, there's less than 5 that. So going into the game, they knew what was that. And they were like, oh yeah.
I was happy when I got there because I was told there may be more women or I might be the only one. So when I got there, I was super happy to see Brooke and Megan.
Yeah, and I think that is a testament to you as a host, and the fact that you did prep people so they wouldn't walk in. I won't say culture shock.
I would have never let the 3 of them walk on set and been like, what the fuck was this? I was like, and that was something that me, Jack, and Kyle kind of talked about. Like, listen, I don't think it's a spoiler for the game to let the women know and be very transparent that they will not be. And then we told them, like, listen, if you want to drop knowing that there's not going to be an even gender disparity, we're okay. We will not be mad. We completely get it. So they all walked in knowing that it was not what it was going to be, And
shit, we're all 4 of us are minorities in a community that, I do feel like our community is fairly accepting for most things, if not all. But like fairly. But I do feel like that is a thing that we the four of us are cognizant about when we walk into these situations. And it's, you know, you can either play into it, you could dumb yourself down, you could do. I am a master code switcher. I love code switching. It's so much fun. But it does become very okay, this again, or you know, do I portray myself as this now? It becomes very hard, and I know we've given him all of his flowers, but I'm glad that Amir brought up what he did during Tribal. Now, what I will say is this, because you know, when he's talking about how, oh, am I answering this because of this? Am I answering with? And I think it's just because of my feelings towards touchy subjects. In that situation, once again, it's just like, okay, this isn't my bias. This is me guessing how these other people's biases might go, and I'm just going to write this down. I don't actually personally care how any of these answers actually go. I'm just trying to win the challenge. And that's all. Like, I'll kind of leave it at that. But like, that's kind of where how I would perceive it in that situation. But Amir, great, been great since the beginning. And we get to the vote. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I thought Dave was just the episode's red herring, and we were going to get something crazy, especially because there was like 10 minutes left when they went up to vote, when you guys went up to vote. Santi, was there any world that you thought Dave was 100% going home? Like, who said it? John and Dave both said Dave's going home. There's not a doubt in their minds. Was there any doubt in your mind?
I was ready to come on this podcast and cuss the man out. I'll say that because I really thought Brooke was going to go. So when Dave went, I was a little gagged.
Yeah, and that was a intentional editing thing. When I was editing it, I was like, which way do I want to go? And I felt that the more interesting story was to kind of play it straight, and be like, this was the vote, just because this episode laid so much groundwork and there's so much foreshadowing as to like what the back end of the game was. And I felt like, you know, do I want to do all these tricks to see what's gonna, you know, who's going home, or do I want to just play it straight in order for the foreshadowing? And I went obviously the second route. But and it's funny, like all the storylines that paid off, like the extra vote. Go back to episode 2, and Steven's like, oh, it's my birthday, I want an advantage, and Megan just like gives it to him, and he's like, oh my god, yay. And he opens the box and he's like, oh, this is awful, I can't believe this. And you literally hear me say, I mean, I can take it back. And he's like, no, I'm just saying it's bullshit, it's bull, you know. And now it's like literally help flip the game. Like, I don't think if Steven didn't have the extra vote, would Amir still have flipped? I don't know. You know, I still think Amir would have flipped because I don't think he was going to go to Rocks for green. But the extra vote was like, well, it's definitely going to help. You know what I mean? It definitely helped push that. Same thing with John S.'s voting confessional as well.
So also too, I said to John V and Troy and Steven and Brooke and John S., I will work with you moving forward in this game, but you need to vote Dave this round for me. And I need to see your drawing, and you need to tell me what it was so that I can work with you and I can trust you. And they did it.
So what was your perception of, were you confident in what was going to happen, what you thought was going to happen, or?
Yeah, I definitely knew that obviously like Brooke and my name were out there. And it wasn't a surprise to me. But at the same time, I knew how valuable Brooke and I were to players in the game, because like I said, if people view us as a package deal, that's 2 votes going in your favor if you work with us. So it's like, it's more, you got to weigh the pros and cons. I know Troy did not want to vote Dave, but Troy wanted to work with us. He wanted to have us in his corner. So, like I said to them, I was like, I haven't really said anything. I haven't been vocal about votes. I want Dave out. I will work with you. I will be loyal to you. I'll keep voting with you, but I want him out or Alex.
I also think too, what was interesting is in Troy's voting thing, he was like, I don't have the numbers. But partially that was because of Steven's extra vote. Steven doesn't have an extra vote. I do think there's a world where Troy is like, all right, I'm going to go jump in with the Greens because I know Dave will always have my back. You know what I mean? And then does it still go 5-5 because Amir flips and then Troy flips and it's still 5-5, which I think is hilarious. Yeah, the extra vote really was, I think, a lot of the catalyst of like people wanted to make a move, but they're like, oh, fuck, I really can't do anything because of that vote.
Because the extra vote. And I do feel like, especially because it's the merge, because the merge is where where chaos reigns. The fact that all of this happened, we got an extra vote played, we got a flip. Obviously, you guys can't say anything, but I'm not expecting any of that to. If people are overly pissed off at either one of the two of them, Amir and Steven, then they're not paying attention to everything else that's going on in the game. Like, someone's always going to flip at the merge, almost always going to flip at the merge. And the merge is also where people just play advantages. Amir even said, hey, if I have to play my idol, I might play my idol. I don't know how serious Alex was about the hey, can I play that, the necklace, but let's say let's say Alex was being serious. You have to, in that type of situation, that's like one of the only rounds where it makes sense for people to just do things because it is that next stage of the game. So I'm very interested to see what the fallout is from this, and if the two of them catch any type of real flack for what they did in the situation, even though people knew that Steven had that extra vote to begin with. It's not like it was a big surprise for the majority of folks. As we start to wrap up, Santi, I wanted to ask you I'll skip that first part. Right now, who are some of the people that are standing out to you as like, oh, this person could go all the way? Are there people that you know? The question I was going to ask you is, do you know who wins? Because I don't.
No, I was very when I played two, I said nobody tell me who wins one, so I can do the podcast with a clear brain.
Okay.
If I know who wins, it'll just slip out by accident. Hold on one second. I want to post this from Troy.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Amir is high on my list, and Amir's been high on my list for a while. Becks and Brooke are also high on my list, and then I would say 4, Troy. Like, those are my top 4.
Okay. Will, at this point in the game, based off of how you were watching it in real time, were there any front runners starting to stand out to you?
Yeah, I'll be very honest. Because me, Jack, and Kyle had a nice little hour-long, discussion at the end of day one. And in that discussion, we had all unanimously agreed that Amir was in the best position. Because he knew people on the other side, as you saw, like he flipped. He had an idol, and he did what nobody in the new era does, is he kept his mouth shut about it. Nobody knew he had an idol except for him. And so we were like, he's in a great spot going into the merge. Yeah, it's 5-5. He has no problem flipping. And then once Touchy Subjects came out and no one answered him for anything, no one even wrote his name down as like, for the whiteboard answers, no one even like really named him for anything. That's when we were like, all three of us looked at each other and we're like, oh yeah, okay. Like, well, our read on that was accurate. Like he's doing what he needs to do. So yeah, I would say we were all Ymir was a front runner for us going into
Well, and the
day
fact
2.
that he openly admits that he's being perceived as flying under the radar. He's flying under the radar, but he's also doing a lot like out front. I think if this is a throwback to it has to be episode 1. I think he was one, if not the first person to go over to the other tribe to start talking to them when the one world twist. And correct me if I'm wrong. So like
No,
it's
true.
not like he's flying under the radar and also just kind of chilling. He's flying under the radar, but he's still talking to folks. He's still in all these strategic talks and all of that. And I do think that is a testament to. I mean, he's a teacher, right? He's a teacher. Those. I mean, as a person that has his degree in secondary education, that's the type of personality that I feel like is capable of doing both things at the same time. So yeah, I mean, he's very high on my list. I do feel like Becks, Brooke, I feel like I'm repeating everything Santi said. Troy. I do feel like a lot of these, it's the LRG community, so grain of salt, but some of these names that are in the game, people are going to start to come after them, whether they've been doing anything in this game or not. People are going to just start to see them as a threat. Oh, because this person went to the end in all these other games, maybe we should get rid of them now before they, gain that traction to potentially go forward with that. I do think that Alex's time might be running out. I maybe not, maybe Alex wins, but as of now, I think that Alex's time might start to be running out because Alex's name was put out a lot during this episode. The Johns are very interesting as far as trajectory of where they could go. And I mean, overall, I didn't forget how much I've been enjoying this, but I think it all came back when I started rewatching episode 5 and then doing 6 again. Like, oh yeah, this is really good shit. Also, I know I hyped this up in episode 1, but the editing tricks that happen during the episode are always so fun. Editing tricks, not really. The editing is great. I love the editing, and I'm really excited to see how this all turns out. Any final thoughts for anyone?
I will say, Josh, my husband, has never seen an episode because I always watch it upstairs. And Sunday night after Olympia, I was like, we need to watch Stranded because I got to take notes for Tuesday. And he watched it and he was like, why didn't you tell me this was so good? And then also, it felt really weird seeing you guys play in our yard. It was so strange.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. I love the season 1 cast. I've said it multiple times, like I only cast winners. I think that's the difference, and I'm going to be a little shady here, so get ready. I think the difference, at least, buckle up, Buttercup. For season 1, season 2, for season 1, because obviously Becks wasn't part of it. Season 2, Becks was. We only casted people that we knew had a shot at winning. Like, I don't do charity casting, and I think it's cute that some games do, and they keep doing that. But I watch LRGs like I watch TV. I'm like, oh, Thursday Ascendant's coming out, right? And I watch a lot of games, and there's at least 2 or 3 people that are casted because they're the charity choice, and we want to be nice, and we want to cast them. But the thing is, I feel like it's like a little bit of disservice to cast someone, have them pay, fly out to a game, do all this, that they have a snowball's chance in hell of winning. I think it's rude, personally, for me. That's my philosophy, though.
To
And that's why
piggyback,
all these games, yeah.
piggyback off of that, I know I was throwing shade at the men I versed in this game. I have nothing but love for all of them, and I loved all the players that I played against.
Yeah,
I don't.
So
like
that's
catch me outside.
So that's, I think, what we do differently is like I tell people, I casted you because I can see you winning this game. I don't cast you because you seem fun and now you're probably going to be one of the first 2 boots. That's rude to me. And so, and then you look back, Andrew just won 2 LRGs back to back. Megan won Survivor Brooklyn South. You know what I mean? John did Survivor and All Stars, came in second place in a very close vote. Like it does pay off. It's showing in that. And so like when I look at everybody, like now that Dave's out, like, yeah, Alex might have a rough chance to get to the end, but he could get there. Becks is a killer. Brooke is a killer. Troy,
Didn't
same
Alex
thing. Like
just win an LRG?
Oh yeah, Alex just won Survivor DC. Yeah. Who else are we missing? John V. Everyone's talking. John V's a threat. John V's a threat. Oh yeah, Bex won CE. Only cast winners. Bex won the all girls game after playing Stranded. And in Steven too, like everyone has a shot and a path to the end. And in editing this, I was like, oh wait, everyone does. Like obviously some people might have easier shots than others, but everyone does genuinely have a shot here. And that's what I love about our game. And to give you a peek into season 2, same exact thing. And Beck's can piggyback and agree with me on this. There were times where we were sitting there and be like, I have no clue who's going to win this because I could see them all winning this. Like there was never a time where I'm like, well, it's definitely not them. Like it never happened in season 2.
Season 2 guns were drawn from the moment we stepped foot on that lawn.
Once again, looking at the cast, it's not surprising. Dave, final words kind of go back to what Will just said of, yeah, it's a blank slate. And I think Dave's the perfect person to have as that mayor of Ponderosa. It's like, yeah, the game's over.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. The game's over. Everyone is fresh in my book. I'll vote for who. All in-game stuff is now gone. And I do believe, I know a lot of people say that. Dave's one of the people that actually do kind of believe when they say that kind of stuff because I have played with him in game and know him outside of the game. I do think there are other individuals, I don't think in this game, I might be mistaken, that if they said that I would actually believe it, but who's to say? We won't find out. Will, when can we expect episode 7?
Oh, well, if you happen to go to the Stranded YouTube, episode 7 is going to be on Friday. And it is probably my favorite episode of the season. And the episode title is I Didn't Vote for You. What does that mean?
That's a good sign.
So
I'm looking for I'll be in Missouri Friday. So I look forward to watching that in my hotel room. Thank you everyone for tuning in, whether now or later. Thank you, Becks, so much for joining us. Like I said, I hope the next time we see you is like at the end. Please no gang signs. But thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Will, thank you so much for continuing to put out this. I'm hoping and expecting great shit continuing moving forward. Santi, it's nice seeing you again. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
No, it's great that we can still do this. When we first started doing this, I was still living in New York. I now live in Vermont. I am one of 2 Black people in the entire state. So it's been fun. We'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.
Hopefully next
Thank
week,
you.
maybe.
No, next week.
You.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
yeah.